About as empty as most dealership parking lots these days. Maybe they're closed today. Anyway, as some of you all know, there is a huge shortage on new cars right now. And that has to do with the microprocessor shortage, microchip shortage, whatever you want to call it. Basically what happened is last year, automakers slowed down production and electronics makers increased production. The result was automakers don't have enough processors to build their cars, which means some dealerships, most dealerships, are having a shortage and there's not that many cars out there at the moment. But if you're lucky enough to get to one of these dealerships and find a car that you actually want, they're gonna be there. They'll still be good cars, you're still gonna get exactly what you want. But if you want to order one, you might be waiting for months or so, especially if it's a Mini. In the case of the car I'm going to be showing you all today, it's here on this lot. You don't have to wait for it, and it has a manual. This is a 2022 Mini Cooper S iconic trim, fully loaded, navigation, head-up display, satellite gray Chesterfield leather interior, silver tentacle spoke wheels, 189 horsepower of fun, and a 6-speed manual gearbox. So let's go over this new car, see what's changed for the 2022 model year, and take it out for a drive in a bit. So at just under 36 grand, this is one very nice Mini Cooper. Very classic looking exterior, chili red, white roof, white mirror caps, white stripes, chrome accents here and there, silver wheels. This is a Mini Cooper that most Mini enthusiasts would want to own, especially with a manual transmission. But on top of that, you get a navigation system and head-up display and Harman Kardon, and those are great options to have in a Mini Cooper, and it is just a really, really nice car. The satellite gray interior is really nice as well. I love the Chesterfield stitching. It's one of my favorite things about this interior. Aside from the Harman Kardon, of course. If you come around to the back, you have the new 2022 rear diffuser, which is really nice looking. It's amazing that they actually now have a diffuser panel kind of looking thing on a Cooper and Cooper S. That just makes it a really beautiful aesthetic. Of course, you have the adjustable load floor trunk, plenty of storage space. If you need to fold the seats flat, you can, and it will sit flat. Now, while the European and UK market have had their horsepowers lowered to comply with new emissions guidelines, the US market hasn't done that. This is still 189 horsepower versus 178. And what do you get with that? You get this nice B46 4-cylinder turbocharged motor. And it's a great little motor. Really torquey, really fun to drive. I have it in my Mini and I love it. I also love these black headlights and I really want these. But let's take this car out for a spin. Now, before we do that, someone did ask me about the new headlights and the lack of fog lights. Now, here's how this works. Inside this lens here, there is a bottom row of LEDs that are set to fire only when the headlights are in automatic mode and when you have the weather lights button turned on. This will actually provide your weather light that you need for driving through fog and so forth. That's how that works. So the rest of the time it looks like a normal headlight until you actually need those LEDs. So it's a great system, and it does clean up the front end quite a bit, allowing for that air curtain up there. And of course those big brake ducts, which makes the front end look quite aggressive compared to the previous model years. But now comes my favorite thing about this car, and that is of course the driving. So we're gonna pop this thing into sport mode, and I just noticed this car also has the new heated steering wheel, so that's a really nice touch for someone who might want that, especially if you're driving this car on a very cold day and you want to warm up your hands a little bit. But great interior. The lounge leather and Chesterfield leather interiors are really comfortable. I know what you think. They're probably very sticky on hot days, but not really. It actually is a very comfortable interior. Now, I did put that sunshade down because I don't like getting the sun into my side of my face. It just makes it very uncomfortable. Now, it does have the head-up display. Because this car has navigation, it even tells me what the speed is for this particular road. Now, I do have the digital dash in front of me, which works just the same. So it's really kind of a, do you need the head-up display or you don't need the head-up display? If you don't need the head-up display, you won't miss it very much because now you have a digital readout for your speedometer. If you do want the head-up display, you're probably going to miss it. So you're probably going to want to have it. But I think it's kind of good with or without, so I don't really notice it too much, especially with the digital dash. I love this new fiber alloy dash trim. The new vents are very, very nice as well. I'm also a big fan of shifting a brand new Mini Cooper because the shifts feel very crisp, very precise, very easy, and that's something that doesn't pop up in a lot of the older ones. But let's hop onto the highway for a quick sprint. Very quick, little car. Very quick little car. I really like this. Precise shifting, easy to see everything around me. Of course, typical Mini. Well built. That's the great thing about the newer Minis, is they're incredibly well built cars. I know I've stressed that in previous videos, but it's really true. Now you might notice I'm sweating here. That's because I was standing out in the sun all day. Some people have commented I seem to be sweating a lot in my videos. That's because when I'm outside working, getting these videos ready, it gets very hot out, especially in the summertime or in the spring, or if it's above 80 degrees. Or even above 70 degrees, but it happens. I really like this though, but we're gonna keep this short because, like I said, the inventories are low at the dealership, so this is one of the cars they need on the lot. But I'm really very impressed with this car overall. And the price isn't bad either. Like I said, under 36 grand. So for a new Mini Cooper under 36,000, that's a great deal. And not something you're going to find with a lot of high-end, high-performance cars. The Mini is considered a sports car in a sense. I know a lot of people think of it as an economy car, but it truly is a sports car. It has a sporting pedigree to it. Like, I don't think of these cars as being just run-of-the-mill economy cars. Granted, they get great gas mileage, but they're not a run-of-the-mill economy car by any means. And this new generation with the BMW engines is no slouch. It's a great, great car. And get up and go is pretty good. I'm in third gear right now, and I didn't have to shift to accelerate quicker. And this car is equipped with 17-inch wheels and 205/45/17 tires. Now, those are run-flat tires. Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of run-flats, particularly when they get older, but when they're fresh out of the box, they're pretty decent tires. When they get old, you're going to probably want new tires, and at that point, you may want to consider non-run flats. That's a personal preference of mine, and may not reflect those of everybody else. For that matter, it may not reflect those of Mini USA, because they are big on pushing that you need run-flat tires. Now, granted, you probably do if you don't have a mobility kit to fix your tires, should you have a flat, or if you don't have a spare. And some Minis do have spares, some don't. So if you're concerned about getting stranded on the side of the road, you probably are going to want to have run flats. If you're not concerned about that, then you could probably live comfortably with non-run flat tires, especially if your commute is mostly highway or is relatively short. Fuel economy is about 30 mpg on average for these cars. I know the sales manager at the Mini dealership with his JCW gets about 18. Don't drive like him if you want good fuel economy. But you can get about 30, 31 mpg out of this car. That is really decent for a little Mini Cooper hardtop. The current generation does have slightly smaller fuel tanks, so you might think the range is a little lower. I think it's about 300 to 320 miles on a tank, which seems a little low, but for the small car that it is, that's pretty reasonable. Cargo space, if you're making short trips, I'll be honest, you can fit some things from IKEA in the back of this car if you need to. You may want to take the packaging off of them, but you can probably fit something from them big enough. Normal run-of-the-mill stuff, pretty easy. I've seen a lot of people take these cars on road trips, and they're very good on road trips. They're very fun to drive on road trips. They're very comfortable on road trips. So there's that as well. And if you're out driving this weekend for 4th of July, yes, it's 4th of July weekend when I filmed this, you may want to be taking your Mini out there and enjoying yourself. So there's that. But we are going to wrap this video up because I have to bring the car back over to the dealership. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out my playlist at the end of this video for all things F56 Mini Cooper hardtop. And as always, before I let you go, I'm just going to remind you that, well, life is too short to drive a boring car. So, what am I going to say here? Well, you know what I'm going to say here. Drive a Mini, right? Drive a Mini. Now, I'm going to go figure out where to park this sucker, but I will see you all in the next video.